Hey YouTube, Smiling Skeptic here. Got a bit of a serious topic tonight. My most popular video continues to be the Lars Vilks attacked by Muslims at Uppsala University video that I did last year. It seems that my video may have been featured on a not-so-friendly channel, as the comments continue to pile up on that video and they are getting more and more vitriolic. People are leaving comments on that video and others that dehumanize Muslims. Surely we can do better in our conversation than this. This kind of thing gets us nowhere. Just so that I am clear, I do not seek to dehumanize Muslims, or anyone else for that matter, and moreover I firmly believe that doing so is just plain wrong. I intend quite the opposite, actually, to try to open the discussion of inclusion by addressing and knocking down the delineations which separate us. When you dehumanize a group, you unfairly remove the qualities that make people human. You make a whole group of people less than human in your consideration. That includes not having the same rights, not having the same respects, privileges, desires, needs, or considerations that you would wish to be afforded for yourself. You not only mentally eliminate them as peers, but in your personal consideration you remove any potential for them to be peers. We are all humans on this spaceship Earth, and if we expect to be regarded by future generations as the enlightened souls that we think ourselves to be, then we are behooved to give the respect and rights and fair consideration to each other that we would wish to have for ourselves, no matter anyone's race, religion, sexual orientation, class, or any of the other delineations that we may have devised for ourselves in our brief history on this planet. In the big picture, the things we can truly be held most responsible for are our actions toward each other, and in dehumanizing others one takes one of the most base and deplorable actions of which human beings are capable. You become a bigot and a bully. You become closed-minded, seeking to divide rather than include. You seek to relegate a whole group of people into a class of inferiority for no other reason than, as Richard Dawkins puts it, an accident of geography. You fail to recognize the effects of environments, of conditioning, of indoctrination, and specifically you fail to recognize that those effects are neither permanent nor innate, but are changeable and can be overcome. Now, I'm not suggesting we all need to join hands and sing Kumbaya, but we need the contact, we need the conversation, we need the dialogue if we ever expect to advance as a global community. I'm encouraging you not to push people away, but to push ideologies away. I encourage you to consider the people separate from the religion. I encourage you to recognize and reject bigotry when you see it, even if it's from yourself. I encourage you not to tear down our fellow human beings, but fairly and effectively criticize the harmful nature of religions, of flawed belief systems, of ignorantly founded and anachronistic traditions, and the surrender to credulous superstitions that cause people to act in irrational and inhumane ways. Understand the difference between a people and their ideology. An ideology is not a people, and people are not an ideology, but one does affect the other. If you have an issue with what ideology does to people, then take issue with the ideology. Embrace the people. Be critical, but constructively so. Be angry, but make sure you're angry at the right things. I don't want this next comment to sound like I'm suggesting censorship. But if you are unable to make this distinction for whatever reason, then maybe you should not be taking part in the conversation. Seriously, respecting this distinction is a necessary component for this dialogue. I know most of you get this, but the ones who don't end up injecting a lot of noise. into the signal that then has to be squelched before the conversation can continue. I'm here with the lofty and maybe unrealistic goal of advancing the conversation. I don't expect to see any fruits of this conversation any time in my lifetime, but the conversation must be had. Every conversation starts with a single voice, and I consider it doing my part of trying to make this world a better place for all of us. The same goes for other groups as well, like Bill and his wacky TFLers. It's easy to write them off to insanity, but from their collective baseless conspiracy theories, an ideology is born. The ideology sprouts dogma, and it becomes something more than a shared delusion, and something far more dangerous. The people have arrived at their conclusions through faulty logic, through unrealistic thinking, and the best way to demonstrate that is to address the product of the thought, the ideology. Please join me in that conversation. I'm Smiling Skeptic. Be excellent to each other. and peace.
Liberal thinking says it is racist to hold one culture or one way of thinking as superior to any other. Now, what follows from that inescapably is the paradox that a liberal society must die. Because a liberal society, by its own liberal tenets, says we cannot uphold liberal ideals as superior to any other. So we can't uphold equality of women, freedom of speech, whatever it is, over people who oppose this because that's racist. Okay, if that is so, then a liberal society says goodbye to itself. Because if you can't uphold it over any other, because your liberal ideals are telling you can't uphold it, then by definition the liberal society has to give way